Here we have the Epic Games Launcher. I'm running this on a Mac, so it might look a little different for you, but the same basic principles are here. On the left-hand side, you're going to see the Unreal Engine. And then up top, you'll see some different tabs. We're going to want to go to the library, engine version 5.4.4. Click on Launch. Now, this may take a minute, but it'll pop up with the Unreal Editor loading screen. It's going to say things like compiling shaders and all that stuff. And this, again, may take a little while. So get this started and just wait a few minutes for it to go. All right, so that took a little while, but it did eventually pop up. Here we have the Unreal Project browser. You can see a list of recent projects you may have in your account. You should see games, film, video. So you can see the different things it's used for. What we care about here is games. Here we have different templates that we can start with. We can start the first person, third person, or a top down, blank, handheld AR, which you use with phones, virtual reality, and then vehicle. Now we're not going to work with handheld AR or virtual reality, but for these other 4 or 5, we can pick one and work with. I'm going to go ahead and click on third person, though you can pick a different one if you want to. We just pick any of these templates and start with it. On the right, we have our project defaults, Blueprint versus C++. We're going to always start with Blueprint. Target platform will always be desktop. Quality will always set to maximum. Then we want to turn on starter content. Starter content is going to upload some basic starter content. So some basic textures, basic meshes, and things like that you can add to your scene. Then we have ray tracing. We're going to leave this off just because ray tracing can kind of slow down the machine and can be fairly intensive to actually run. So we're going to turn that off. Then we have our project location where we can list and change where we want our projects to go. If you click on the little file browser here, you can select where you want it to go. Just take note where that is. Then you can set up your project name. I'm going to create this and call it My First Unreal Project. Something along those lines. No spaces in between. And go ahead and click on Create. Now, again, this may take a little while for it to load, so go ahead and let that work. And when it's launched, it should launch something like this. Now here, this big window that we have here, this is our big editor. It's called the Play In editor, actually. So we can actually play our game inside of here once we want to. We can actually also select an object, and we can move them around. So this lets us edit and set up our scene. Now, how do we navigate this? With your mouse, if you left click on an object, it will select it. And you know it's selected because it's going to bring up this little gizmo. That's what it's called, these little arrows. And you also get a little orange highlight around it. If you right click, it's going to bring up a menu. If you use the scroll wheel on the mouse, you can zoom in and out. If you press down on the scroll wheel like a button, you can actually drag and move around inside your scene. While holding down that mouse button, the middle mouse button, press W to zoom in, S to zoom out, A and D to move around. And same thing while you're holding the right mouse button, you can rotate. Rotate your view by holding down the right mouse button when you're not selecting directly on an object. And you can use W, A, S, D to move around. So while holding the right mouse button, we can kind of zoom around our level here. Now, if we go up to the top, you should see this green play button. This will activate the game. We'll turn it on. So we can press play. And now the game is launching. The mouse is currently not in the game, I should say. So we're not controlling the game yet. I can still move my mouse around. But if I click in the view, now all of a sudden my mouse is controlling the rotation of the character. I can use WASD to jump around, to move around. Press the spacebar to jump. And again, my mouse is controlling where I'm looking. And now I'm playing a game. But for now, though, go ahead and just hit escape, and that will stop the game from running. Now, if you select an object, all right, so I'm going to change my view. I'm going to select one of these boxes here. I'm going to press F on my keyboard. That will focus in on that object. It'll zoom in. This can make it useful for setting your view without having to try and like position yourself. So go ahead and try that a couple times. Select a couple objects, zoom to them by pressing F on the keyboard. And you may notice on the right-hand side, this outliner. Now, the outliner has this thing called SM Chamfer Cube. And if I select, there's one that doesn't have a number, then there's one that has a 2, and then one that has a 3. If I select those on the right-hand side, then press F, each one, it goes to each of those cubes. That is because the outliner lists all of the objects in the scene. So I could go to SM Cube 4, press F, and that will zoom to that. Cube 7, I'll zoom there as well. So on and so forth. The outliner lists all of the things that are in your scene. Now you may have noticed I just changed the size of my outliner. If I go in between these panels here, the mouse changes to a different shape, and I can drag and resize these different menus. I can make the play-in editor smaller if I wanted to as well by doing that. Now, as you select on different objects, the details panel will change. The details panel lists all the settings for that object. We'll get into what these different settings are later, but just know that you'll be doing this kind of thing a lot, where you're going to select an object and then change some settings inside the details panel. And you can see that as I pick one of these blue cubes, I can see that I have a material that's solid blue. If I select that material and click this little drop down, I can see a list of the different materials that were imported when I created the scene. So I'm going to select this wood oak material. And now that object, that cube, has a different look. It looks like it's a wooden block now. So you can change settings inside the details panel. Now what if I want to add something into my scene? Well, that's where this content drawer comes in. Down the bottom left, you'll see this content drawer. And it is a hidden folder where you have all the different things you can add to your scene. Now, once you select out of it, it will hide itself again. And you can dock it so it stays there if you want it to. I'm not going to do that though, in order to keep the screen real estate nice and easy. But content drawer, click on that. Then if you go to starter content, you'll see a bunch of folders in here. And I'm going to scroll until I find one that says props. There we go. I'm going to make this bigger. And I can see that I have a bunch of props, a bunch of things I can add in. And I see this SM table round. I'm going to click and drag that into my scene. And now there's a table in the game. For press play, there's a table. I can actually even jump on it. And the cube that I gave that material to earlier is there and looks like wood. It changed. Great. Now, if we want to move one of these objects, if I select this table and I drag, I'm going to zoom in on it, this little gizmo here, if I take the arrow that's there, grab this blue one, drag it up, I can raise the table up. And if I grab this red one here, I can move it that way, or I can move it to the right. And you may notice as I do that, this location thing changes. The numbers change. That is because those values determine where these objects are. Now I'm going to take this table and I'm going to bring it back down to the floor. Set the location to 0 in the Z axis, the little blue axis. That way it's resting back on the ground. All right, well, that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to kind of get you in here to see the engine and to get some practice with manipulating it and moving around inside of the Unreal Game Engine. So that's it for this one. Thanks.